Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's take up the daily quiz for today. The first question. Bombi bucket, often seen in news, is used for collecting and analyzing neutrinos in underground particle detectors, or it is used as a virtual bucket that filters suspicious content on the internet, or it is used for aerial firefighting with the bucket fitted to helicopters, or it is used for holding nuclear warheads that are mounted on fighter jets. The correct answer is option C. Bombi buckets are used in aerial firefighting, and these are nothing but the large flexible buckets that are attached to helicopters in order to pick up water from open water bodies in order to diffuse nearby fires, especially forest fires. This question was taken up because, according to this article in the Hindu, Mizoram has been witnessing a major forest fire, and while personnel of the Assam Rifles are fighting the fire on the ground, the Indian Air Force has deployed its helicopters that are equipped with the Bombi bucket in order to douse the fire. These Bombi buckets can hold approximately around 5,000 liters of water, and when they are attached to a helicopter, they can pick up water from nearby water bodies and drop the water from the bucket on open fires. This is considered to be an effective method of aerial firefighting against forest fires. Now let's look at the second question. Which of the following statements are correct? India has been ranked 49th in the Chandler Good Government Index that was launched in 2021. Finland takes the top spot on the CGGI list, and European nations feature prominently in the top 20. The Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions has launched its own Good Governance Index to determine the status of governance in the country. All the three statements are correct, so option D is the right answer. See, the Chandler Good Government Index has been launched yesterday for the first time, and India has ranked 49th amongst 104 countries that were surveyed under the index. Finland takes the top spot on the index, and the top 20 list is dominated by European nations. Within India, the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions has launched its own version of Good Governance Index in 2019 in order to determine the status of governance in the country. This question was taken up because we have an article in the Hindu that makes a reference to the Chandler Good Governance Index, and it rates 104 countries in terms of governance capabilities based on 7 key parameters. This includes leadership and foresight, robust laws and policies, strong institutions, financial stewardship, attractive marketplace, global influence and reputation, and helping people rise. On the basis of these parameters, the index plans to estimate the governing capabilities and outcomes of different countries. And yesterday, the inaugural edition of this index has been launched by the Chandler Institute of Governance, which is a reputed academic institute based out of Singapore. Let's move on to the third question. Which of the following statements are incorrect? Helicopters need compact and powerful aero engines for operating at extreme conditions. To achieve this, single crystal blades having complex shape and geometry manufactured out of nickel-based super alloys capable of withstanding high temperatures of operation are used. Recently, the DRDO achieved this major technological breakthrough, and India has joined an elite list of few countries such as UK, US, France, and Russia, which have the capability to design and manufacture such single crystal components. All the three statements are correct, so option D is the right answer. According to this article in the Hindu, the DRDO has achieved a major technical breakthrough, and it has successfully developed a single crystal blade which is made out of nickel-based super alloys that can withstand high temperatures and high stress conditions during operation, and these blades are used in aero engines. Such powerful aero engines are particularly needed for helicopters, which operate under extreme conditions. And very few countries have the capability to develop such material. And the Defense Metallurgical Research Laboratory of DRDO has succeeded in developing multiple sets of such single crystal high pressure turbine blades, which are used in aero engines. Let's look at the fourth question. Japan is funding which of the following projects in India? Dedicated Freight Corridor Project, Metro Rail Projects, Mumbai-Ahmedabad High-Speed Rail Link, Kundankulam Nuclear Power Plant. Amongst the given options, Japan is sponsoring the first three, and hence option C would be the right answer. See, India's ambitious dedicated freight corridor project, which aims to transform freight movement in the country, consists of two components, that is, the Western Dedicated Freight Corridor project and the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor project. This ambitious transport infrastructure project of India is being funded by Japan through its ODA or Overseas Development Assistance, or also known as Official Development Assistance. Even the metro rail projects in several Indian cities, such as Delhi, Bengaluru, etc., are sponsored through Japan's ODA. And India's first ever bullet train, or the Mumbai Ahmedabad High Speed Rail Link, is also funded by Japan. Whereas the Kundankulam nuclear power plant involves Russia, and Japan is not associated with this project in any way. So the correct answer is option C, 1, 2, and 3 only. This question was taken up because, according to this article in the Hindu, Prime Minister Modi has held a telephonic conversation with Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga. During this interaction, both the leaders have held a thorough review of the India Japan bilateral relationship, and both the leaders have committed to help out each other in jointly combating the pandemic. They have even reviewed their strategic initiatives, such as the quadrilateral grouping, their focus on enforcing a rules based order in the Indo Pacific region, and Japan has even extended complete support to India to help in battling the second wave of the pandemic. In line with the close strategic and economic relations between the two, Japan has committed to ensure a reliable supply of critical materials and technologies to India, and both the sides are looking to cooperate in several emerging areas such as 5G communication, laying of submarine cables, and Japan in particular is very interested in strengthening India's supply chain networks, and it is also looking to invest in development projects in the northeastern part of India. Apart from this, both the leaders have also reviewed the progress that is being made with regard to the construction of the Mumbai Ahmedabad High Speed Rail Link. Now let's look at the fifth question. Project Dantak of Bhutan, involving Indian support, deals with carbon sequestration for reducing greenhouse gases, border security along the Bhutan-China border, creating critical road and essential infrastructure, conservation of snow leopard and tiger population. Amongst the given options, the correct answer is option C. Project Dantak of Bhutan is supported by India, and its primary focus is on building essential roads in Bhutan and in creating essential infrastructure which is needed for the socio-economic development of the country. According to this press release from the Ministry of Defense, Project Dantak of Bhutan completes 6 decades, and this initiative was launched back in 1961 under the visionary leadership of Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and the then third king of Bhutan. Initially, the focus of this project was to build essential connectivity infrastructure in Bhutan, especially the construction of motorable roads, in order to trigger socio-economic development in Bhutan. India extended support to this project not only by arranging funds and finances, but also by providing technical assistance. And the Border Roads Organization of India has been closely involved in executing Project Dantak, and by working with Bhutan, it has enabled the creation of essential infrastructure in the country. Over the years, Project Dantak has diversified into other sectors as well, and under this, several crucial projects of Bhutan have been constructed, including airports, hydropower plants, telecom infrastructure, etc. Now let's look at a question from the 2020 prelims paper. In India, which of the following can be considered as public investment in agriculture? Fixing MSP for agricultural produce of all crops, computerization of primary agricultural credit societies, social capital development, free electricity supply to farmers, waiver of agricultural loans by the banking system, setting up of cold storage facilities by the government. Amongst the given options, option 1, 4, and 5, they are all subsidies. So this essentially doesn't constitute as public investment. Whereas if you look at 2, 3, and 6, they are all public investments being made in agriculture. So the correct answer is option C. Now coming to the fact of the day, we shall look at this article in the Hindu, which makes a reference to the conversation between Prime Minister Modi and US President Joe Biden. During this conversation, the two leaders were focused upon US assistance to India in helping combat the pandemic. As a part of the discussion, Prime Minister Modi has brought up the need to relax TRIPS regulations under WTO in order to ensure quick and affordable access to vaccines and essential medicines, especially for developing countries. So, in this context, let's have a more elaborate discussion on the TRIPS agreement. TRIPS stands for Trade Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights, and it is a global legal agreement under the World Trade Organization. It came into effect from 1st of January 1995, and till date, it happens to be the most comprehensive multilateral agreement on IP laws or intellectual property rights. This agreement basically establishes a set of minimum standards with regard to regulation of intellectual property and enforcement of IP laws. And these basic standards will have to be followed by the respective national governments which are a part of the WTO. The TRIPS agreement was negotiated at the Uruguay round of the GATT between 1989 and 1990, and it is directly administered under the WTO. This agreement covers several areas of intellectual property, such as copyrights, trademark, geographical indication or GI, industrial designs, patents, new plant varieties, layout designs of integrated circuits, and as well as undisclosed information, including trade secrets and test data. All such forms of intellectual property is protected under the TRIPS agreement, and it basically establishes a minimum standard that needs to be followed by the member countries. The TRIPS agreement has three main features, which includes the establishing of these minimum standards, providing for enforcement of these standards in respective countries, and it also provides a platform for settling any disputes related to intellectual property rights. So this agreement basically lays down just a minimum set of standards that the members have to follow, but beyond that, flexibility is given to the members to determine the extent and the exact method of implementing these IP laws within their legal system. So with this, let's conclude our discussion for today. Thanks for watching.